Welcome back to the Humble Market Timer YouTube channel. Once again, if you enjoyed the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. In today's video, we're going to look at Cipher Mining. Did we hit a bottom and we're just going to rocket higher? Or is this just a temporary bounce and we head lower? We'll look at the charts and see what the charts are telling us. Before I go any further, just want to make one quick note. These are my sole ideas, not investment advice. Now, Cipher Mining is a industrial scale data center construction operations company. So basically, they build data centers, and initially they've had those data centers built for Bitcoin mining. But as things have progressed and it looks like the AI boom is going to sort of take over, they pivoted to dealing with those high performance computing, and that deals with the AI and the AI infrastructure. So they still have the Bitcoin mining, but their biggest emphasis right now is on the AI infrastructure. Now, if you notice in the chart here, this has been one of those stocks that has rocketed over the last 6 months. It bottomed back here in April at under $2. And in the course of 6 months, it went from under $2 to over $25. So we're talking about more than a 10x move in 6 months. Massive move. You don't see gains like that every day in the stock market over such a short period of time. So to be expected, you can expect there to be some profit taking and there to be a decent pullback, or maybe even a sizable pullback, when you have a move that big, that quick. So let's keep that in mind about Cipher Mining. I think it's a great company. I think they're doing some really good things, providing that AI infrastructure. You know, recently these AI infrastructure companies have been hit because of the concerns about CapEx spending. They're going to have to put out a lot of money, even though Cipher Mining already has infrastructure set up. Things still need to be tweaked in order to best serve for that AI infrastructure, and that takes money. And so recently, a lot of these stocks, such as IRN and even companies that are slightly different, like CoreWeave, those type of AI infrastructure plays have been hit quite a bit. I've done a video on IRN. At your earliest convenience, you can go back and look at that video, and Cipher fits very closely with what IRN does. Now let's look at the chart. As you can see here, we had a big move and potential reversal candle on Friday, where many of the AI infrastructure stocks bottomed at about 11 o'clock on Friday, and all of them made nice moves off that bottom as Friday came to a close, and many of them have made massive moves today being Monday, as sort of a continuation of that move. No AI infrastructure company has made a bigger move than Cipher Mining, who is up 15 to 20% today. So that move and bottom that occurred on Friday, or at least what appears to be a bottom that occurred on Friday, has yielded a pretty nice move. We're talking 20% from Friday. So that's a pretty nice move from a stock that has been hammered pretty well the last 2 weeks or so. So let's kind of draw some lines on the chart. What I like to do is I like to look at the charts, and I try to see where my eyes line up for there to be obvious points of resistance and support. And then I draw parallels and lines to kind of see where things kind of line up. And based on that, I then draw a conclusion based on how the lines are formed and kind of what what story they're telling me. So let's draw some lines. First, let's look at this area right here. This looks like it trended pretty consistently in this area right here. And let's draw a parallel up to about this area. Let's extend this a little bit to here. Let me do a little bit of adjusting of this line so that we can get it to the point where it is really telling us the story of Cipher in this stretch. And as you can see here, adjust this down a little bit here, move this down a little bit here, and move this up a little bit here. Now, as you can see, we have a clear bottom trending line right here in the parallel where it has acted as support for the price action. And then if you notice at the top of this parallel, you can see we had price action up here where it was trading at the top of the parallel. And then just to kind of confirm that we're looking at a good parallel, you look and see, did we have some resistance right at the midpoint area or support right at the midpoint area? And as you can see, we have pretty good support in that area. And lo and behold, when we had that big drop on Friday, it came right to the top of that parallel, and we got a massive bounce off that parallel. So that is showing that that was going to be a line where we were going to get a bounce based on the uptrending parallel back from really the start of 2025. Let's draw a couple more lines again to kind of get a feel. Let's do a horizontal line here. It looks like this area right here has acted as resistance quite a bit for Cipher. Let's draw that line right about here. And so we have another line that has acted as resistance several times for Cipher in the last, dating back to 2024. It's come to this point many times. But as you can see, it has right about here. It has acted as resistance, and then you can see here when we broke that resistance, it acted as support as it pulled back, and then we had the big explosive move higher to that move to 25. So we have two lines now drawn. One where we have this uptrending parallel, and then we have this line here that has acted as support, and now it acts as resistance or support. It's acting as resistance, and now it's acting as support for Cipher's pricing. So we got those two lines drawn, and I want to look at this a little bit closer, and I'm seeing some action here. I know we had a spike up through here, but my eyes are saying that this action here is potentially another area where we are going to have some resistance. Again, we had a quick move through that, but we broke right back down through it. Usually when you just briefly break something, it's not really a true break if it comes right back underneath it. So what we could be in the process of looking at is this line right here being a potential area of resistance. As you can see, we made a big move off this bounce. We have a 15-20% move today based on this line. If that does act as resistance, maybe we have a little bit move higher tomorrow, but there will be resistance moving forward that could push the price lower or keep the price under this resistance line right here. So we have 3 lines drawn, and again, I like to look and see what, based on the lines, is the chart telling me. And so what I think we need to be on the lookout for the future is, are we going to be able to cross this line? I believe if we cross this line, you're looking at major upside for Cipher. If you notice that we can't penetrate this line and we reject from this point, the chart is telling us that we're going to see, again, potential support at the top part of this parallel. But then if we break below the top part of the parallel, the next areas to be concerned, or the next areas for potential support, would come at the midpoint line, and then if that would be at about 10 or 11 bucks, and if then that doesn't hold, you're going all the way back down to that $7-8 range where sort of everything all began. Now, let me make one more. I want to point out one other thing that I think we need to look at. On my channel, I talk a lot about symmetry, and to me, this chart is also giving me the idea that we may have some symmetry here in the chart action. Look at this move here. We go down, this move up. This is sort of an M top, kind of a different kind of M top because of the second part of the M went higher. But as you can see, we're retracing down and we got a bounce. When you see this type of action, oftentimes you then revert back down to this area, look at the symmetry, and then if the upper portion of that parallel doesn't hold, we then break further down into the parallel, and we either go all the way to the bottom of the parallel or maybe at the midpoint line to give you that true sense of symmetry. So be on the lookout for potential price action to be following this level of symmetry where the move up mirrors the move down. I would keep an eye first to see if we can make a move beyond that $17, $18 area. If we stall out there, look for it to recheck itself back at the upper portion of the parallel. And then if that doesn't hold, look for potential entries in the middle of the parallel or at the very bottom of the parallel. Now, in my opinion, what's going to truly determine whether or not Cipher continues higher or continues lower based on this bounce will be what happens in NVIDIA. NVIDIA is the super AI infrastructure play. If NVIDIA has a pullback, you best believe these other AI infrastructure plays will have a pullback as well. So really keep an eye on NVIDIA. If NVIDIA goes higher, I think Cipher and some of these other AI infrastructure plays can move higher. But if NVIDIA pulls back, as it sometimes tends to do after it had a big move, you can look potentially for Cipher to have this sort of price action. Hope you like the content. If you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.